And we're live with SampleServe Masterclass Wednesdays. How is it going, everybody? Thank you for joining us either live or later on. I am Joshua Paul, and with us, I have Russell Schindler, founder and CEO of SampleServe. Say hi, Russell.
Good afternoon.
Russell's the founder and CEO of SampleServe. He's been in the environmental game for about 35 years plus. I am the product manager at SampleServe. And what we do on these Wednesdays is we bring on experts from the industries. We show you new features in our app. We talk about tips and tricks with our platform. And, so you can either for new or existing users, show you all kinds of cool features. And if you have any comments or anything to say, put it in the chat. Even after this is over, we can get to it. And also, if you know of anybody you think this would be helpful to, send this link along as well. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about our platform Sample E&V. This is our platform for digital environmental professionals, for collecting samples, planning projects, sending data to your laboratory, receiving data from the laboratory, creating reports and everything. And today is a special one. We're talking about reoccurrences. So Russell, tell us about the reason why we started reoccurrences.
Well, whenever you're doing long-term sampling or sampling at a water plant or a wastewater plant, you're going to be sampling over and over and over again. And rather than have to kind of manually set all that up and get everything put together, if every Monday you do the exact same thing, we want to be able to just go, hey, here's what you're doing every Monday, and it'll just repeat automatically on its own. So it just really simplifies it. And there's a whole bunch of nuances the way to do this, and I think we're going to dive into them. But, if you're only doing something once a year, maybe this feature isn't necessary. But if you're doing something every day and it's different every day, this is when it's really going to help you.
Yeah, we really this really became an important aspect of our platform when we got really heavy on the drinking water and wastewater facilities.
Yeah,
because they do sample every single day.
Yeah,
or at least a couple times a week. And setting up these sample events manually for that would be pretty labor intensive. So we just made it so you can set it up and it just stays that way. And if you ever want to make edits, that's very easy, and you can customize it to match your exact sampling agenda.
Yeah, and it pulls in all the data validations. It pulls in the custom forms that you've created for that sampling event, and even any alerts that you might have set up, so that when you do reoccur that or reschedule that, repeat it, it's going to be exactly the way you had it before. So that's really the nice thing about it.
Everything carries over. So today we're going to talk about, when you should create a recurring sampling event, and when to schedule something manually ahead for like either standalones or annual or biannual events, and also how you can edit your sampling events as well. So let's hop into the platform here. So I have a project in here. I have a couple different media types that we have sampling events where I have a groundwater event, I have a drinking water sampling event, and a wastewater sampling event. Now let's head over to the wastewater sampling event. And this is, I called this one Wednesday. This is the name of the sampling event, and this is specific for a wastewater, plant. Let's say they're going to be sampling total inorganic nitrogen and chlorides every day or every Wednesday specifically.
Yeah.
So they're going to want to create a new sampling event that has that recurs automatically every Wednesday, because they know that these are the samples that they're going to have to take in the plant every single Wednesday, regardless of anything.
And typically, like at a plant like that, they'll sample bacteria every day, but then once a week they sample these other parameters.
Right. So let's just create a simple reoccurrence with this one. So we have this sampling event work scope here set up. We have our effluents and influence here. I have my tests assigned to these locations as well. I also have an alert set up here, and this alert is custom built in the sense that if this sample does not get sent to the laboratory by 10:20 a.m., give us an alarm, a text message, or an email to specific contacts that I have set up in this. So this is really nice. That makes sure that, if somebody does collect the sample, they put it in the fridge and they forget about it, you'll get an alert. Maybe your boss will get an alert, or even higher up will get an alert. Anybody that you talk to.
Different alerts. You can create an alert on the sample collection. So if it wasn't collected, it'll send you an alert.
Right.
But then you can set up a separate alert that if it wasn't delivered to the lab, you'll get an alert. So, or you
Exactly.
can do both. You can do both as well.
Yep. So I'm going to head over to the recurrence tab here. I'm going to add a recurrence here, and this is going to be a weekly recurrence here. So weekly is just gives you the days of the week that you want this to reoccur on. So I'm going to select Wednesday. Now this event, I'm going to hit save. Now this event.
Show how you can do the pull down where you've got weekly.
We're going to get there, Russell. Don't worry.
Okay, sorry.
We're starting simple. So now this event is automatically going to recur every single Wednesday. It's going to show up 3 days beforehand. We're building in the future that you can make sure you can customize how often you want that, how many days in the future you want these sampling events to show up. But we want it to be 3 days so that we don't, fill up your entire calendar, because if you're doing weeklies and especially twice a day, that's going to fill up your calendar very fast.
And the calendars are going to be pushed to your mobile device. That's the kind of the key. Mm-hmm. You're using a mobile device, and if you schedule it every Wednesday out to infinity, it's going to just take up a lot of memory in there.
Mm-hmm. Infinite Wednesdays, they say. And then so we have this. This is a very simple reoccurrence that's set up. This is just every single Wednesday. This is now going to automatically pull up. Now it'll show up on the Field Text app on their tablet. Sampling event every Wednesday, so that they know they can go in and capture this information. Now we have a quarterly over here, and this is for groundwater. This is a quarterly sampling event planned at a specific site. I have all my sample locations here. I have a custom form added to this sampling event. On these sample locations is just a well inspection form. You set up custom forms to collect specific data that you want to collect in the field. And I'm taking 2 tests on these. This is going to be all low flow here. And this is a quarterly sampling event at a site, right? So I want to set this up to be a quarterly reoccurring event. So this will show up 4 times a year automatically. So I'm going to head over to recurrence here. I'm going to add a recurrence, and I'm going to skip down here, and I'm going to go down to yearly. So I have options here. When I click this drop down, I have weekly, monthly, and yearly. Monthly, I can set it up to happen on a specific day of the week, and then which week of the month. So I can have it happen on a Wednesday on the 2nd week of the month if I'd like to. I can also set it up for yearly here. And this is what you're going to do for quarterly. So I want it to happen on the Wednesday, the 2nd Wednesday, and then I want it to happen on February. Where's that? Skip every 2. And then August, and then November. So this is going to be every quarter from February, and then May, and then August, and then again in November. I'm going to hit save. Now this sampling event is going to show up 4 times in that year if you build it before February, obviously. And then it'll automatically reoccur. You don't have to do anything to this. And this will automatically show up. So this is the way how you do something like a quarterly event. I can also do something, and this is just for, demonstration purposes. This isn't quarterly, but I can have something happen, twice a month if I'd like to. So I can have it set up here on monthly, and I can hit the 1st week of the month, and then the 3rd week of the month as well. So now this is 2 times a month. This will show up as well. So there's you can get real intricate on when you want this to happen.
And I'll just add in that, let's say you are doing the quarterly sampling, and the 3rd quarter you decide you want to change it up a little bit. You can go in there and edit that quarter, and so it's not set in stone. You can make edits later if you want to.
Yeah. So let's go in over how to edit sampling events that are planned to show up here. So I have a drinking water sampling event here. Let me show you my work scope. I just have 2 locations. We're taking bacteria tests, and we want to do this every day of the week. So I'm going to head over to recurrence. This is going to be weekly, and I want this to show up on every single day because we need to take this bacteria sample every single day. I'm going to hit save. And see, now it automatically created these next sampling events in my calendar here. I have one for tomorrow, the next day, and the next day. So this is a great example of showing you how they automatically show up. If I click into tomorrow's event, this is the same exact work scope. Nothing changes. But if I wanted to go in and edit any of these, I can edit the individual sample event right here. If I change this, I can take off the bacteria off a GAC1 location here. I can hit save. That's fine. This tomorrow's event is now different than my reoccurring events. But if I want to edit events to happen so they happen in the future from now on, so that all the new recurring events will not be sampling the sample location. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to the last scheduled sample event in that list of reoccurring events. So I have one for today, tomorrow, the next day, and then this is, I think, Saturday here. So I'm going to go to the last one that's scheduled, because what happens is when the events reoccur, what it does is it copies the last event that you have out of all those reoccurrences. So if you edit the last one, that's the one that it uses to copy forward everything from now on. So what I can do is I could turn that off. I can hit save. And now, from now on, this sampling event, my daily drinking water sampling, is now just going to have the one sample for my GAC2 sample location, and it'll no longer have the one for the GAC1 sample location. So that's how editing future reoccurring sampling events works.
And there's a couple other nuances. Let's say you're doing quarterly sampling, but out of one of those quarters, you got to do a much larger parameter list.
Mm-hmm.
You would actually just create those quarters, have it only do 3 quarters, and then that fourth one, whichever one it is, you would actually just create that one event and then have that reoccur annually, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just one time that year. And that's how you're going to get around having to edit everything and have it just automatically populate.
Yeah.
But you know, there's, once you start doing this, you start to realize there's some kind of techniques that you can do to really make this be as functional as possible.
Right. So here's an example of, let's say I have a daily sampling, you know, all day, every day. But one time in the year, I also have this huge annual sampling event where I have to take a whole bunch of tests. But it also falls on a same day as when that that daily sampling is. Now, you don't want to have 2 sampling events. You want to combine both of those. There's a pretty simple way to do that. What you do is you just you schedule that annual sample once, right? Because it doesn't need to reoccur. It's just happening that one time, and it'll show up no matter how far out it is because you have already scheduled it, right? So I have this annual sampling event planned in May. I'm going to create that. I'm going to set up all my tests, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to include that back test that I have as well for that daily sampling, and I'm going to include all my other tests as well that I have to do for that annual sample. And the only difference is that if you want all of that one sampling event to happen that includes your daily sampling, you already have your daily sampling included on this annual sample. So when it gets closer up to that sampling event, all you have to do is just delete that individual daily sample that automatically reoccurs and shows up. I'll show you how to do that right now. You just hit these 3 buttons right here, and you hit delete. And that just make sure you delete the same one that's happening on that annual day. So that way now you have just one sampling event that's showing up, and it's that annual sampling event that also includes your daily sampling event on there as well.
And show them how, if you wanted to just copy, you know, rather than go through that whole reoccurring thing, you want to just copy one event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have my annual sampling event set up right here. I'm just going to add my test here. Now let's say, okay, well, I know that I'm going to do this next year too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit duplicate. And it now duplicates my event. It's still on the same day. It has the same exact name as well. So I'm going to head over to the schedule tab, and I'm going to change this down to 2025 or 2026 here. So now this is happening in May 2026 as well. And I can just name this one something different to differentiate it. And now I have that sampling event saved, and it's in my calendar now for May of 2026. And it has all the same exact work scope as the one that I just duplicated it from.
And this is great if you're trying to schedule out everything you're going to do for a year. Helps with your planning, helps with your, you know, the labs, bottle inventory, that kind of stuff as well. And then also for budgeting, because if you're trying to set up like an annual budget for a monitoring project for an entire year, you can go and set this thing up and then scrape from that all of the information about those samples and be able to develop a budget very easily.
And what we really suggest is, at the beginning of the year, now that's the time to really set up, all these new sampling events, especially if you have like biannual or, annual events. put that in there. We don't suggest putting it in as a recurring event because it's a one and done thing. Do it at the beginning of the year and it'll show up as far out as, you can plan something for 2035 right now and it'll show up on your calendar. So those individual, 2 time a year, not really good for reoccurring events. Just set those up right at the beginning of the year. They'll always be there and you can edit and change them anytime you want.
Yep.
And that's really what covers our recurring events. It's really versatile. You can really, set up anything that you like. You can have multiple types of events that happen, either on the same day or, within the same, within different time periods on the same day. You can schedule one for the morning, schedule one for the afternoon, and then later in the evening if you'd like. So it's really versatile.
One thing I'll add too is some people feel like, let's say they got delayed and they couldn't get to it, when it was scheduled, they got to do it the day after or something like that. The scheduled date is just target date. It's actually going to be, the dates on the samples and everything are going to be on the day that you actually do the work. So if you arrive a day late, it's not going to make a difference. It's just a target date for that sampling event. You can do it a day early as well, or a week early if you need to.
Right. Yeah, it's just to inform your sampler that this is the time and the date that we would like you to do it. But it doesn't mean that if it gets forgotten in the next day, it's no longer accessible or the time is up. No, it's still there. It's still available for you to take to open up and collect data with.
Yep.
Good catch. I think that's about it, Russell. What do you think?
I think it's good. Good job.
Nice and easy. We try to make it, and we're going to be adding all kinds of new features for this as well in the future. It's just going to get better and better. So look out for next week's, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you around.